Good morning everyone and welcome to this video. My name is Malcolm. I'm the founder and chief executive of Democracy Insight, and today's video is an explainer on what's going on with the Labour Party leadership with Keir Starmer's future, so you can understand the process of what's happening within the Labour Party and get a sort of broader understanding of what's actually happening aside of the spectator sport side of politics, which will be going on in every newspaper and every blog. We exist, we're not a partisan organisation. We are here just to help you understand politics and hopefully show a different side of it. That's my purpose. We'll see if it works, but that's what I'm trying to do. I'm passionate about democracy and the process, fascinated by current affairs. So let's get into the video itself. Following a pretty disastrous set of local election results, Keir Starmer's under massive pressure. And he was already under pressure due to the coverage and criticism around the Peter Mandelson situation, which we all know about. And there was a lot of speculation that if Labour got what was predicted to happen and what did happen was a really, really bad set of local election results, then there could be a potential challenger. And we saw initially around 80 Labour MPs tell him that he should go, either straight away or set a timetable. There was some sort of carefully considered language by the party. And then we saw the beginnings of what could be seen as a sort of cabinet level rumble, that a few PPSs resigned, and then rumours started to come around that Wes Streeting, the health secretary, was about to resign. He had a meeting with Keir Starmer that lasted a very small amount of time, and he left by the front door, which means he wanted to be seen. And this was on the day of the King's speech, so there was a lot of speculation that Wes was going to mount a leadership challenge. Now, for that to happen, what has to happen is 20% of the Labour Party MPs have to do a signed letter formally nominating a candidate, whoever it is, and they have to write to the General Secretary of the Labour Party and say, I want to nominate whoever. And the reason it's 81 is because it has to be 20% of the elected number of Labour MPs, which is currently 403. So 81 is the number that they have to get to. What that does then is trigger a leadership contest of which the incumbent Prime Minister, unless he or she withdraws, is automatically in. And then other MPs can come forward and stand as well, but they also have to get that 81 nomination. So technically you can end up with 4 non-prime ministerial candidates or non-leaders candidates in the Labour Party leadership race. And the speculation is that the likely candidates are Wes Streeting, Angela Rayner and Andy Burnham. However, the Andy Burnham situation is interesting because he doesn't currently have a seat, and when he was wanting to stand recently in the Gorton by-election, which was eventually run by the Green Party, he was blocked by the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party, who cited the fact that it would be a costly mayoral election of around £4 million, I think, because Burnham would have to resign to stand as from the Greater Manchester Mayor. But what was probably also going on was that there was a wish by a pro-Starmer NEC to block someone who could legitimately challenge him for the leadership, because if Burnham comes back to Parliament, he's really coming back to have a go at becoming Prime Minister, taking over the leadership of the Labour Party. And, you know, I don't think he's really making any real secret of that, really. So what's happened now is that because Burnham's not in Parliament, he can't stand for the leadership, so he has to get a seat. So there was rumours on who that might be, but eventually a Renew MP called Josh Simons in the Makerfield seat, don't ask me where that is, he has resigned his seat and now there's a vacancy. So that doesn't automatically mean that Andy Burnham gets to stand, and this is the interesting first thing to bear in mind, that Andy Burnham will need to be formally adopted by the local party and voted on and selected. You've got to win a selection process, which is not easy to do. From someone myself who managed to win a couple of council selections, but you know, it's a contested selection if someone else gets nominated. and you might see a little bit of local politics where the local party don't really like being involved in this. I don't feel, and they could be pro Starmer, they could put somebody else forward to spoil the party, so to speak. So the likelihood is that it'll be Andy Burnham, because everybody knows why he's doing this. The party knows, the whole country knows. So it would be quite odd for them to sort of poo-poo that and say it's going to be somebody else. But I do feel for other local candidates who might feel that they were working the seat, if you like, to become a candidate in the future, and then suddenly this national figure is going to pile in and sort of take it. But also locally, the next challenge is that even if Andy Burnham gets selected, he then has to win the election. And Reform's already said they're going to throw the kitchen sink at it and try their best to, again, spoil the party. Because remember, for the opposition parties, it's far better for Starmer to stay in, because he is clearly struggling. The support for Labour is demonstrably going down. The last thing the opposition wants, although they would say they're patriots and they want best for the country, but really the last thing they want politically is for someone to come in like Andy Burnham and do a lot better and turn Labour's fortunes around. It doesn't help them. So the politics at play is that it's mainly the Labour Party shouting for change. And what they're hoping is that despite the difficulty of winning elections at the moment for Labour, where Reform's getting a lot of votes, they're hoping that a lot of people will just vote Labour anyway. They're probably hoping that other parties don't stand a candidate, which I think is unlikely, and that basically people vote Burnham in to challenge rather than vote Burnham in because they want to vote Labour. So then we'll have the spectacle again when Andy gets into Parliament. He's going to have to secure those 81 formal nominations, and then it'll go to a leadership contest. All signs are that Keir Starmer's quite stubborn. Apparently he went into cabinet and was aggressively chaired it, was the words that we heard, and basically told them to put up or shut up in regards to a challenge. So that is very interesting that he's shown resilience, which I think is quite commendable. But you know, there's also, don't forget, around 100 MPs who are supporting him, so that reduces the chance of someone else. So I think what will probably happen is eventually you're going to get probably Angela Rayner, potentially Andy Burnham if he gets elected. I think it's difficult, and Keir Starmer contesting. There is a scenario that exists that Starmer may not get challenged because an MP would have to get 81 nominations. Wes Streeting, I don't think, can get the numbers. He's in the right wing of the Labour Party, in the kind of Liz Kendall area, and seen as very, very Blairite, very, very on the right of the party. And it's amazing, really, when you think that Labour can have a party where Richard Bergen and Wes Streeting can be in the same party. It's the totally different ideological beings, and that gives it difficulty because people have to back you for you to get that amount of numbers, and the only person who's seemingly got that is Keir Starmer at the moment. So that's really interesting as well. So that's the process. I'm going to end it there and say I hope you enjoyed that video. Do check out the website democracyinsight.co.uk. We will do other videos. I'm trying to find a nice indoor location that I can do some videos where I'm not sitting in my car, but I'll work on that. If I do have to keep doing them in the car, obviously I will. But I hope you found that helpful, and we'll see how things pan out in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be very, very interesting. More locally, we have a bunch of council AGMs, so I'm going to do a video on that as well, so you understand what's going on there. And eventually I would like to visit a couple of council meetings to show you what's going on and do some council chamber tours, which will be very nice. But I did contact Durham and ask if I could use their chamber just to do a quick introductory video about Democracy Insight. They haven't got back to me yet, but that video will appear if we're able to do that. Well, I did say I was happy to pay a small fee, but we'll see how it goes. That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing you again very soon.